Jets quarterback Zach Wilson was booed multiple times. 92 passing yards plus an interception. Then he was benched for backup quarterback Chris Streveler. Jets head coach Robert Saleh said after the game, it wasn't a benching as much as the Jets looking for a spark on offense. It's an interesting explanation. Shannon, what should the Jets do now with Zach Wilson?
Skip, a change of scenery might be in order.
Yeah.
In my 14 years, I've never seen a guy lose respect of the locker room, lose the locker room, and get it back. It's just hard. Because once that has happened, the guys have a perception of you, of what you are and what they think you can become. And maybe a change of scenery. Skip, he's only 23 years of age, so it's not a lost cause. But maybe New York is a bit much, is a little bit too much for him to handle right now, Skip. And you say, well, it's not a benching. In order for you to get that spark, what did you have to do to Zach Wilson? You had to put benching.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what it was. The dude had a 5.2 QBR last night, Skip, and they did nothing when he was in the game. The moment that backup quarterback got in, everybody took off. It was like, oh, yeah, now we got a chance. It's like when he's on the field, they don't even believe they got a chance. That's why quarterbacking matter. They got nice pieces around him. They got a tremendous defense. But that joker right there doing what he did, you can't overcome that, Skip. There's not, even the 2000 Ravens couldn't overcome play like that.
No.
Because he puts the ball in harm's way, and I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? And you look at his numbers, Skip, his numbers are eerily similar. I'm not saying he's going to beat Jamarcus Russell, but Zach Wilson is 8-14 win-loss. Russell was 7-15. A 70 passer rating. Zach had 15 touchdowns. Jamarcus Russell had 16. One averaged 6.4 yards per attempt, the other 6.3. He might turn out to be an okay quarterback, but he might need to leave, get on the Greyhound bus and depart New York City. Skip, New York isn't for everybody. Yeah, it can make you the Bright Lights, Broadway, Skip, the big Madison Avenue. It has a lot to offer, but it'll gobble you up.
Yep.
When you have the Yankees and you had teams, the New York teams that have had success, and Jets have always kind of been the backfiddle to the Giants. But Skip, this right here, man, this won't get it done. This will get you fired. And I think the mistake that they made, Skip, from the very first time that this young man declared for the draft, Trevor Lawrence was 1, he was 2. I'm like, y'all ain't gonna do no evaluation. Y'all not gonna look at any other quarterback. Y'all believe he's that good? Yeah, Skip, I saw him in his pro day, man. He running around throwing that thing like Mahomes. He throwing it 85 yards underhand through one. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
He tricked the Jets. He tricked them. He got them right now. He finding out playing quarterback in the NFL is a lot different than playing at BYU.
Yep.
Skip, he might just have to take his show on the road because I don't know if he's going to be able to get back in the locker room and regain the confidence of the guys in that locker room because he's clearly lost it.
I agree. But I don't blame him as much as I blame them, as in their front office. Because to your point, before that draft, you and I would go back and forth, and we kept saying, it's a done deal. Like, everybody reported from moment number one, the Jets have homed in on Zach Wilson, and they are going to take him no matter what. And I'm thinking, no matter what? And they did. Everybody was exactly right because they just telegraphed it. They just said, no, we want that kid.
Right.
Okay, so at least I first guessed this before the draft because I told you I don't love him. I watched him, I don't know, maybe 5 times at BYU, and he had a little bit of Favre in him. He runs around and flings it and sort of closes his eyes and, oh, they caught it. Yeah. And what a play that was. But as far as consistently operating at quarterback, as far as consistent poise and accuracy and vision and trustability, I couldn't see it consistently. He would just pull off a wow play, and you'd say, wow.
Right.
Okay, well, did the Jets fall for the wow factor?
They did.
I guess so.
They did.
Okay, what's hard for me when we're trying to evaluate the kids going into the draft, I don't live with them, so I'm not around them. I don't know what they're made of exactly. I can only see it on television.
Correct.
Well, obviously, his leadership leads much to be desired because his intangibles are low because he feels like he's kind of a solo act. The first is like the week after he got drafted, it seemed like I look up and he's taken a bunch of his offensive linemen to a Devils game, a New Jersey Devils game, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a good start. And then what? I don't know, it seemed like it was all for show because then the rest of it, it just it didn't click. Kids can struggle at quarterback, but once they've kind of won over the veterans will hang with them, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was a Trey Lance guy going into the draft. Trey Lance has won his locker room. Unfortunately, he hasn't won the job because he just keeps getting hurt. And if he keeps getting hurt, that's going to be as big a problem for the Shanahans as this kid is for the Jets in a very different way.
Correct.
But in Trey Lance, I saw huge intangibles. I saw leadership. I saw high character. I saw gym rat. I saw huge arm. I saw legs that can work in Kyle's system. I love that. And I was first guessing him, and then the Shanahans validated me because they traded a ton to go get him.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would still consider his. Now, again, I think we were both Trevor Lawrence. We were like, that works.
3-year starter, Skip. He win a national championship. They lose. They lose, and then they lose really bad in the national championship. But for that kid, you can see. Okay. How do you,
Shannon? I would see clips of him in high school, and I'd say, really?
Yeah. 6'6", 235, big time arm. He has more athleticism than you think for someone his size and his complexion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But Skip, I think the thing is with him, everybody starts saying he can make Mahomian throws. He can make, and everybody got, he can make throws like Mahomes. Ooh, he gonna be Mahomes. No, he's not.
So he wound up at the wrongest place at the wrongest time last night because it was raining.
Yes.
And it was windy.
Yes.
And you saw what Dougie P, your man, Doug Peterson, comes in and just says, I'm not really going to risk this. I'm going to ask my quarterback and my running game to try to take this game over because he was calling plays for him. Trevor Lawrence ran it 7 times for 51 yards.
Yes.
And I was pretty surprised by that, but they ended up running at 147.
Right.
Okay, look, talking about wrong place, wrong time. Look what the Jets ran the ball, except for the third stringer who came in, the CFL refugee, right? Look, they had 11 rushes for 12 yards, except for Strevler, who came in and had 9 for 54.
Right.
Okay, so when Zach's in there, they're not running the ball at all.
You can't because they don't respect them to throw the football, so they just load the box.
Okay, you just throw it. And it looks, it just looks dismal. It just looks lost cause.
But he looks lost, Skip.
He is.
Do you see him, how big his eyes is?
Yeah, I agree. So now, he's had a few moments where he'd have a game where he'd say, okay, because he's got a nice arm. And he, for his complexion, has some athletic ability. He can move around a little bit, and it's not producing enough.
No.
And now he's lost his confidence. He's lost his locker room. He's probably lost his front office, and they're stuck. Would somebody trade much for him? I doubt it.
Well, you're not going to, you didn't have to give up anything for him, but Skip, it sets you back so far.
It's just
you can miss on a lot of positions, Skip.
It's terrible.
And you're able to get it back because you can go in free agency and get the guy, or, you know, or sometimes you have a guy in a later round. But Skip, if you miss on that guy, man, it sets you back so far.
And it looked so bad last night because he's up against the guy who went number 1, right? And it just looks even worse.
Well, the comparison's going to be there. Anytime you have quarterbacks that come in the same draft, Skip, the comparison's going to be there, fair or unfair.
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of Trevor Lawrence, he has easy mobility. He's a long strider, but once he gets going, he can get going. The only thing that started to concern me about him last night was he's got Josh Allen in him. He doesn't really love sliding. He's going to run through people.
Or he's going to attempt to.
Yeah, and he stood in the pocket. There was 3:49 left in the game, and they're in a. I know it was just 16-3, but it felt like it was 60-3 at that point because of the weather. And if we could see the shot that he took, I don't know if you noticed this one. Maybe you'd given up on it at this point. This is 3:49 left in the game, and he stands strong. And he's going to just do this. He's going to throw it in the pocket, and he gets rocked. And this is one where...
No, that's the one I go over there and tell Dougie P, don't you call that bull job no more.
Look at this.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You're not going to last in this league if you try this. And you don't need to play hero here because you've got them.
You only want to take one of those hits a year. You don't want to build your career. Oh, that's a tough kid. Now, I want to prove how tough I am taking shots like that because you see how he got bent in a vulnerable situation?
Okay, and every time he took off running, I'd say, oh, that looked good. And then all of a sudden, shouldn't you slide? You're going to slide? Nope.